Hey everyone, so I'm going to try and do a video. I mentioned on Twitter, or X as it's called now, the other day that I'd like to do a video of the last, say, 20, 25 years of the band, because it's probably the ones that last 2 decades or so is the ones that kind of get criticised. Everyone looks at albums, the production side of it, the writing side of it, John's vocals, the lack of guitars, etc., etc. And I was speaking to Andy, a good friend of mine, and he posted something about how he's been listening to certain songs and he forgets how good they are. And I think it was the This House Is Not For Sale album that he mentioned that, and I replied and said, I'd like to do a video of the last 20 years of the band, because, yeah, they get criticised, and I'll go into detail of why I think that's right and why I think it's wrong. But I just want to kind of break down, and I'm going to try and do it album by album. So, I want to try and break it down as best as possible. So, yeah, as I said, the last 24 years, let's say, we got Crush, and perfect. It was a nice comeback album, different for the band, different route for the band. And yeah, it made it very interesting in terms of how they go about that. How would they move on? Would they go with the time? So on and so forth, because they had a break. Sorry, I'm just trying to get, just so it flows a little bit more, I'm just going to get each album up, just so it flows, so I can break the songs down. But yeah, it's yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, to kind of go over everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it to the albums. I'm not going to really go into detail about live and vocals and so on, because I think I've done that already to a certain extent. Maybe that might be a separate video where I speak about the last 20, 25 years of the band, in terms of live setting. But for now, I think I'm going to go with the studio album. So yeah, as I said, back in 2000, the band came back, released Crush, It's My Life, mega hit single. The song probably the band needed at that time. Looking back, people probably go, oh, it was the song that changed them. And yeah, it did, but it made them stay relevant. It earned them a lot of money. It made them still sell out stadiums after the nice break. Boy bands were on the scene a little bit more again, and the music scene had changed from 95, when they last brought out These Days. So yeah, I personally think it was a good time for It's My Life to come out. I think they nailed it. Max Martin, good to work with and so on. So It's My Life, obviously, we all know how good that song is. It works live. I still think it works live. Mega hit, should have went to number one in the UK, went to number 3, definitely should have went to number 1 in the UK. The music video is fantastic. Yeah, there's not a lot for me to criticise on that song. Number 2 on the album was Say It Isn't So. Again, a song that I really like. Do I think it should have been a single? I don't know. I think when I break this down, I think there'll be 1 or 2 more, and there's already 1 or 2 more in my head that I think should have been released as a single rather than that. Cool video again. Good to see Arnie in it. Big Arnie fan. And yeah, it's a nice song, a little bit different. But yeah, decent enough song. Thank You For Loving Me. The first ballad that they've released, obviously, since probably like the likes of This Ain't Love Song and Lie To Me from 95. Obviously, Bon Jovi always wanted to try and, capture the moment like they did with Always, mega hits. So they came out with This Ain't a Love Song. Obviously, didn't have the same following, but it's still done well. But then, yeah, Thank You For Loving Me. Nice enough song. Is it a song that I listen to all the time? Probably not. Is it a nice song? Yes. I like the vocals. Lyrics are okay. Certain moments I don't like, rehashing of, old songs, but for what it is, I think it's a decent enough song. It's a decent enough ballad. Again, a nice video. But yeah, again, it's not one of my favourite songs. I like it, but it's not one of my favourites. Two Story Time takes me back to becoming a fan. Never forget the time when I first walked in to my brother listening to Crush. And at this time, I knew the likes of Bad Medicine and Prayer and Bad Name, It's My Life, obviously, at that point. And I liked the band, but not to the point where I had to go out and listen to an album. I was only 7 at the time. And I walked in and my brother had Two Story Town on it. I'd already heard songs from Crush, but that was one where John swore, and I couldn't believe it at the age of 7 that somebody swore in a song. But I absolutely love Two Story Town. Again, it's not something that's going to be a single, but I think it's a nice song. It's quite a fun song. Yeah, and that's probably about it. It's an album filler, but it's a good album filler. It's not one of them where you go, bloody hell, do you know what I mean? Next 100 Years, good song. Again, Work Well Live. I'd like them to bring it back. I like the guitar solo at the end. It's no Dry County, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it sounds a bit like a mess, but there's certain parts that kind of I like in that, and I think that's an underrated song. Next 100 Years, I really do, and it's been neglected obviously since the Crush tour, really. So that's one that I'd welcome back. It's not a hard song to sing. Just Older, the song that I think should have been a single personally. It's My Life should have obviously been a single, which it was. 1 Mile Night and Just Older. I think they were the 3 singles off the top of my head that should have been released. Obviously 2 of them we got, but I think Just Older should have been. I think Just Older's a great song. I still think it's a brilliant song 25 years on nearly. I think it's aged really well. It was nice to have it back on the 2022 tour, even though it didn't sound obviously anything fantastic, but it was nice to have that back. Always welcome that song. Absolutely always welcome that song. I really, really think that's I know the diehards love it, but I think it's a song that really could have done a decent at the time. And I'm a bit disappointed that it never got released. Mystery Train, one of my, I was going to say all the time favourites, it's not, but when I first started listening to Crush, that was one song that really, really got me. I think that's a better ballad personally than Thank You for Loving Me. I know the 2 different types of ballads, but I think Mystery Train's a lovely song. I still think it is. I'd love that to be brought back. There's so many songs from Crush that could be brought back live. There really is. Mystery Chains, not hard on the vocals. Imagine an acoustic version of that, when they played the O2 or something like that. I think that would have been a nice time to bring that back. I really, really like Mystery Train, and I always have, and I always will. I think it's a lovely song. Save the World, one of them where sometimes I like it, sometimes I go, it's awful. There's obviously cringe lyrics in it. There's a brilliant high note by John. If I'm not mistaken, it was for Armageddon, and I don't want to miss a thing. Is leagues above it. It really is. But I think Save the World's an okay song when I'm in the mood for it. I probably could live without it, but it's a decent enough song. Captain Crash. I probably prefer the studio. I think it's been overplayed live. Don't get me wrong, it always looks cool on the screen where John's got his guitar and he's waving, and the fans, and I think that's probably why it stayed so long, because it looks good and it gets the crowd involved. But I think live has made me dislike listening to it on as an album track. In the studio version, I really do. I think it's just being overplayed to death live that when I see it, I just kind of skip. But it's actually not a bad song. And again, I always think back. It's one of them songs that I think back to when I first became a fan of the band. I remember they played it at my brother's first show. I think he went to Stoke in 2000. And he had a cassette, and I'm certain it was the Stoke show. It could have been another one, but I think it was the Stoke show. And John got the lyrics wrong, and I liked that even at that age, and I still like it now where things go wrong live, because it's live. It's not meant to be perfect by any means. The mistakes are meant to happen. But yeah, She's a Mystery, one that I probably over time I've liked it a little bit more, but it's a song that I'm not too keen on, and I know it's very 50-50 with a lot of the diehards. It does nothing for me. Again, if I never heard it again, it wouldn't bother me. I Got the Girl. It was nice to have that back in 2017 or whenever it was on the This House Not For Sale tour. Again, decent enough song, but again, it's not something I'd always go to. I actually think the second half of Crush is quite poor. And then One More Night, I think it's brilliant. I actually prefer the 2001 version. I know I'm probably... there's not many who actually are, but I absolutely love the 2001 version, and I always have. Always have. I love the video. And I think, as I said, if I go back, you got It's My Life, Say It Isn't So, Thank You for Loving Me, Two Story Time, Next 100 Years, and Just Older as the first 6 songs. There's none of them that I would skip. I think they're all very, very good songs. Then you got Mystery Train, brilliant first 7. But then Save the World, Captain Crash, She's a Mystery, I Got the Girl. I just think the album drops massively. And none of them are awful songs. I think She's a Mystery is one that I probably counted as an awful song a few years back. It probably isn't awful. I'd probably have to listen to it again. It's been a while, but you got 4 songs there that I just think it drops the album a little bit, and then I think it picks up a little bit again with One Man Night, but maybe a little bit too late. So overall, I'd probably give Crush 6.5, 7 out of 10. It's probably that high because of nostalgia reasons. I'd probably go 7 to be fair, because I do like Crush. Nostalgic reasons. It got me into the band. I love the promo. I love It's My Life. I love the videos. I thought the videos were very good back then. But I do think it dropped massively, and I think that's going to be a talking point throughout this video where the albums do drop. Because I think the first 7 songs on Crush are all 7, 8, 9, 10s out of 10. I really do. And then it kind of goes to 3s, 4s, 5s, and then, as I said, picks up again with One Man Night, where it's maybe a 7 or something like that. Do I like Crush? Yes. And it is one that I probably go back to every so often. I'm not going to do the One Man Night live. I'm just going to go with studio albums. And obviously, next up was Bounce Now. To cut them some slack, I think they had probably the biggest challenge after Crush. Coming back after Crush, you know, he'd done with the One Man Night album. I don't think it went down very well. And then obviously straight back with Bounce. Now, I always remember with Bounce, speaking to my brother, probably back in 2010, 2011, we were going to a concert and we were speaking about Bon Jovi songs. It was around the time they played the O2 and we're doing obviously various albums, various songs. And we were talking about certain albums, and I always remember we started speaking about Bounce, and I think Have a Nice Day was the last album he really liked. I remember him saying Bounce, he was very 50-50, and at the time I was going, what makes you 50-50? And one thing he always said was, I think he said that he really likes the odd songs, so 1, 3, 5, as opposed to 2, 4, 6, and so on. And now looking back, when he said that, I remember going home and thinking, and he's got a point, and that's where I'm going to break it down. I'm not as biased in that sense. I actually think some of them are decent. But let's go for it. Undivided, number 1, track 1, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant album. The type of track that I want from Bon Jovi. Rocky at the start, great vocals from John. The lyrics are brilliant. The sentiment behind, obviously, the song with 9/11 and so on. Perfect album opener. Absolutely brilliant album opener. To me, it should have been a single. That's my opinion. I remember getting criticised for saying it. I always thought it just should have been a single. Track 2, Everyday. Personally, I love Everyday. I think the video's cool. I think John looks brilliant in the video. I think the whole band do, to be fair. It's probably they tried to keep the tempo of It's My Life as the singles. I don't blame them, as I said at the start of this. I don't blame them for going down that road. And I thought Everyday worked really well live, and I'd love to hear that again. That's just got neglected, unfortunately. Track 3, The Distance, unbelievable song. Live, fantastic. It's actually probably my mum's favourite Bon Jovi song as far as I'm aware. She absolutely loves The Distance. Live, it was brilliant, the Shepherd's Bush version and so on. We really, another one that, the whole Bounce album's been neglected, but I think The Distance was just such a good song, and it's criminal that it's not being played live for a long, long time. It really should be brought back. John's not going to struggle that much with it. There's higher songs that he's playing live. The Distance should be one of them that gets played. Number 4, Joey. Does nothing for me, never really has. I know another song that's 50-50 with fans. Obviously, we get the Leave On reference, the Elton John song. You know, it's very similar to that, almost a carbon copy. It just does nothing for me, and it never really has. Track 5, Misunderstood. See, this is where I remember coming up the stairs, and when my brother was a Bon Jovi fan, I was, and he was like, "Have you seen the next single?" I was like, "No," and he said, "Misunderstood." And I mean, I was only 9 at the time, and Bounce come out, but I just didn't think it was it was one of them songs that never really hit me, and I was quite surprised that was a single. I think it's okay. That's about it. I really do. I think it's okay. All About Loving You. Again, very similar to Thank You for Loving Me. It's one of them where they've tried again. They've released another ballad as a single. It didn't really do probably what they thought. It's got a nice part with John. It's a really good high note. But apart from that, again, it doesn't really do nothing for me. It's just one of them where I can take it or leave it. Hook Me Up. Fantastic song. Rocky song. Again, very similar to Undivided in the sense that's the road he should be going down. That's what I like. That's why that album still sticks out for me, Bounce, because they're probably the last real rock songs that we got from the band. It really is. Undivided, The Distance, and Hook Me Up. There's 3 out of 7 songs already that are heavy. I mean, The Distance is probably not as heavy, but musically it is. The guitars are brilliant on it. Right Side of Wrong. Every time I think of that song title, I was thinking about that terrible performance from John where he does the acting to the screen. Like, oh, it was embarrassing. I absolutely hate that. Do I like it? Again, yeah, it's probably a song. I remember about 10, 12 years ago, I went through a phase really liking it, and I don't know whether I overplayed it or I just realised it actually isn't that good, or isn't great. Again, it's a song that 5 or 6 out of 10 max. Love Me Back to Life. Almost a carbon copy of The Distance, in my opinion. But it's a decent song. It is rocky again. Nice vocals from John. And yeah, it's not bad. You Had Me From Hello. Nice enough ballad, but nothing major. One I'd probably skip 9 times out of 10. Bounce should have been a single. Undivided, Every Day, Bounce. Hook Me Up to an extent. Undivided, Every Day, The Distance, and Bounce. Sorry, they should have been the singles, and only one of them was, certainly in the UK. Bounce should have been a single. It opened the 2003 shows, and certainly the majority of them. Definitely should have been a single. And then Open All Night, again, not a song I really go back to. Shouldn't have ended the album either. So again, I'm going to go first 3 songs, top tier Bon Jovi for me. Joey, Misunderstood, All About Loving You, drops again. Hook Me Up, Right Side of Wrong, Love Me Back to Life, up and down. And then Have Me From a Low, drops, and then Bounce, perfect. And then Open All Night. So again, it's just the consistency is quite poor. Out of 10, maybe a 6 again. I'd probably give that a 6, yeah. Have a Nice Day. Have a Nice Day. This the title track, the album cover, my favourite album cover by the band. Similar to the Rolling Stones, I think obviously never took off in that sense, but I absolutely loved it. The video for Have a Nice Day is a rip off of Where's the Love by Black Eyed Peas, but brilliant video anyway, whether it is a rip off or not. The band look cool. It's a brilliant song, great song for a single. Great song to come back with. I always liked the first performance when they done, I think it was the American Music Awards. Have a Nice Day, brilliant song. I Want to Be Loved, fantastic song. Never forget listening to it for the first time, and I absolutely instantly loved it. Welcome to Wherever You Are. Does nothing for me. Shouldn't have been a single, in my opinion. Who Says You Can't Go Home? Probably similar to Captain Crash. Overplayed live. It was okay when I first heard it. It shouldn't have been a single, but it, in the sense of, for me, like if I was going through them, but it done the band wonders. It really did, and you know, it still gets played live. It won them various awards and so on and so forth. So again, the business decision from the band, it made sense. but I just think there's better singles to go with. Last Man Standing, I absolutely love Last Man Standing. That for me should have been a single. Loved it as an album opener, as a opener to the Have a Nice Day tour. I think it's really good. And yeah, I don't know. I think one of them where sorry, I think this has gone off. There we go, we're back. One of them where when you heard it on the box set, it was okay. When they brought it back, I'll never forget again, my brother showed me a snippet of it before the Have a Nice Day album got released, and I couldn't believe it was the same song. Much, again, kind of, it's where they should be going. That's Bon Jovi. Rocky version, brilliant. Bells of Freedom, I love. I always have. I've got a soft spot for it. Again, I know a lot of people do like it, I know people don't, but I've got a soft spot for it. Wildflower does nothing for me. Last Cigarette does nothing for me, but I got to hear it in 2008 at the Manchester show, and although there's probably 200 songs I'd sooner get, maybe more, I still welcomed it because it was a rarity. I think, is absolutely brilliant. But nothing got dropped for I Am, and I think Nothing is 10 times better than I Am, and I really like I Am, but Nothing is one of the best songs the band have done. Complicated, probably that pop rock type of song. I don't mind it. I'll take it. Novocaine, I absolutely love. I think Novocaine's a brilliant song. Underrated. A Story of My Life, nice enough song. I actually think Have a Nice Day is quite a solid album. I think in the middle it loses its way a little bit. Where Wildflower and Last Cigarette are combined. Who Says You Can't Go Home does nothing for me. It's one I really could live without, but I think that's very similar to Captain Crash. I think that's just because it's been played so many times live, and it doesn't need to be. But yeah, Have a Nice Day and I Want to Be Loved, two brilliant songs. Welcome to Wherever You Are and Who Says You Can't Go Home, I think it drops again. Last Man Standing, Bells of Freedom, I think they're two very good songs. Wildflower and Last Cigarette drops again a bit for me, and then I Am, Complicated, Novocaine, Story of My Life, it picks up again. I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10, I think. And I think it's a good album. I really do. I think, if I'm not mistaken, is that the first album when Shanks was involved? I think it was, and I think that's where you can tell. I think it was Evan, wasn't it? Luke Evan, who done Bounce and Crush. But I think that this is where the sound changes for Bon Jovi. I think this album, as I said, Bounce, really rocky. Apart from Have a Nice Day and Last Man Standing, to an extent, there's no rocky songs on it really. Like imagine I Want to Be Loved with Luke Evans' production. I think the intro would have been totally different. I think it would have been a little bit more grungy. But yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10. So the album that kind of divided a lot of fans, my brother included, was Lost Highway. Now, at the time, I was 14 when it got released. And similar to Have a Nice Day, I was 12 when Have a Nice Day got released. I didn't care about production then. If a song was catchy, I loved it. I used to sit there and read the lyrics, but obviously, as a 30-year-old man now, they hit totally different. At that time, as long as the song sounded good, it didn't bother me. I think this is why I think over time my views on Bon Jovi have changed, like everyone else's probably. And this is one of the albums, along with Have a Nice Day, in terms of the sound, which started to divide people. So Lost Highway as a song, again, doesn't really do nothing for me. Never really has. I think it's okay. Summertime, I think it worked live. On the album, I think it's missing something. It's probably too cheesy, too poppy. It just didn't really do anything for me. Make a Memory, it shouldn't have been the first single, but I really like it. I always have. I think it's a really nice ballad. I think it's better than Thank You for Loving Me and All About Loving You. So in terms of ballads, it's probably the best ballad at this point that the band have released from 2000 to 2007, in my opinion. Whole Lot Leaving, brilliant song. Similar to Captain Crash and similar to, what was the other song, Who Says You Can't Go Home. Live, I think it's been overplayed. which has probably made me not listen to the studio version as much as I probably should. I listened to it 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, something like that, and I actually watched the video because it was the time Richie was going through rehab, I think, for the first time. And obviously Richie, there's like photos of Richie on the thing, and John's kind of looking sad and so on. And yeah, I think it's nice. We got it going on. Great live song. At the time when it came out, I absolutely loved it because, as I said, it was catchy. I think it's okay. Any Other Day was, for a long, long time, my favourite Bon Jovi song. 2007, definitely. I absolutely loved it. I loved the Lost Highway, the concert DVD version where Bandiera, Brian, Lorenza, Kurt Johnson and Richie all do their solos. I absolutely loved it. I got to hear it live, loved it, and I'd love to hear it back. I'd love to have it back in the set list. I think it's a brilliant song, and I know John's not too keen on it, or that was the story, but I think it's brilliant. Seat Next to You, never done nothing for me. Everybody's Broken. I've always liked it. I've got a soft spot for that. Till We Ain't Strangers Anymore. I love the video. I think the video, I think John looks the best he's ever looked on the video. The song itself, again, probably doesn't really do much for me. I think it's nice enough. But yeah, The Last Night, underrated. Nothing spectacular, but I think it's underrated. One Step Closer, doesn't really do much for me. I Love This Town. Do you know what put me off I Love This Town? If anyone ever remembers having to go onto the Bon Jovi website, and when you used to go on it, the first thing was the intro to I Love This Town, and oh my God, it done my head in. And I think that's what put me off it. And I'll never forgive John for ditching Lie to Me at Manchester 2008 and replacing it with I Love This Town. I will never ever forgive him for that. Lost Highway, I can see why so many people stop becoming fans. I really can. That's not me saying it's a bad album. I don't really go back and listen to it. I couldn't tell you last time I listened to it all the way through. Years ago, if I'm honest. I've probably gone on the album and clicked certain songs and skipped certain songs until Memory. I think the next four are okay. Memory, Whole Lot of Leaving, We Got It Going On, Any Other Day. I think they're four solid enough songs. Then I think it drops with Seat Next to You, Everybody's Broken, I Lie, Till We Ain't Strangers Anymore is okay. The Last Night, underrated, and then I think the last two are meh. 5.5, I think I'm going to give that album. The only real song that, even just looking at it now, that really sticks out for me, that I'd put in my top 50 probably, is Any Other Day. The rest, take it or leave it. Okay, so The Circle, so I was 16 when this got released. I was very excited for it because the Lost Highway tour, John's vocals started coming back, I think he started to sound better than ever. He started playing more rare songs. And it seemed like the band kind of wanted to go back to a rock route. I still don't think it's a rock album, The Circle, no matter what. I really, really don't. But I think it's a brilliant album. I'm not going to lie, it's one of my favourite by the band. It's probably in the top 5. We Weren't Born to Follow. Never forget listening to it for the first time. And I was underwhelmed. I think because, as I said, I wanted the rock song, and it was very poppy. And John screams guitar or shouts guitar, and the solo was exactly the same riff throughout the song. It just didn't do anything for me, and it still hasn't. I think the video's okay. I think John looks good on the video, the band look good on the video, but it done nothing for me. When We Were Beautiful, again, probably around the time it came out, I didn't mind it. It's not a song that I listen to much now. I don't think it's bad. But I don't think it's great. Work for the Working Man, the less said about that, the better. It just, all the principles of it at the time, and the stupid choreography live. It could have been a brilliant song. That's the most annoying thing. It really could have been, but it let down. This is where I think the album goes from meh to very, very, very good. Superman Tonight, I think, is a brilliant song. Never forget hearing it. It was like it was on a trailer for a TV show in America or something. And that was the first snippet we heard of it, I think, and I was just like, wow, this sounds good. And when I first heard the whole song, it absolutely blew me away. The video, looking back, is really poor and cheap. At the time, I loved it for some reason, but looking back now, it's really poor and cheap. But I think as a song, it's brilliant. I really do. Bullet tries to be a rock song, tries to be a... I was going to say Keep the Faith, but I think I'm saying it to Keep the Faith because of Maracas. It doesn't try and be a Keep the Faith, but it really could have been, again, similar to Work for the Working Man, it could have been something else. At the time, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a rock song at the time. Now that I'm a little bit older, it's not. But I actually do really like it. I think it's a really good song. Thorn in My Side, brilliant on the studio, even better live. As a studio song, I think it's absolutely brilliant. But I think live, it just went to another level. The dual guitar solo at the end is one of the best moments for me as a Bon Jovi fan. It really is. I'll never forget seeing that for the first time, thinking how cool the pair of them looked. John had a really good guitar. It was just brilliant. And they're the things that I love about the band, where they add certain things to songs. And that's just such a good song. Live Before You Die, underrated. I don't care what anyone says. It's not a great song, but I think it's underrated. It gets a lot of stick, and I think I was probably one of them at the time. But as I've got older, it's a song I actually really like. Broken Promised Land should have been a single. In my opinion, should have been the first single. I absolutely love Broken Promised Land. I reckon I've listened to that song over 1,000 times since it came out. The intro is up there with Lay Your Hands on Me as one of the best intros. I think it's a fantastic song. It's a shame it only got played live once, if I'm not mistaken. I honestly believe it could have been a hit. Love's the Only Rule. Top 15, top 20 song for me. And again, another song where live it went to another level. I was actually watching the very first performance of Love's the Only Rule. I think it was in Honolulu back in 2010. And I'll never forget the first time I watched that, because I was on Jovi talking, I was scrolling through because they'd just played that night before. And I seen Love's the Only Rule got played, and I was intrigued to hear how John sounded and how it sounded. And then when the video come up and it was like 6.5 minutes, 7 minutes long, I was thinking, well, why? And it just, again, that blew me away. And vocally, John isn't even that great on that performance. You can tell the whole performance is a little bit rusty. The timing's out on certain things, but again, it's live and I don't mind that. And I actually, when I was watching it, I was just like, that is a man full of confidence there, because he was owning the stage, singing that song, and that it made that song go to another level for me. I think it's brilliant. Fast Cars, underrated. Takes me back to a certain time in my life. Fast Cars, where at the time I didn't really like the song, but I always had it on, and I'd go, I don't know why I don't like that. Is it because it doesn't really go anywhere? Cars. But I actually think it's a good song. Happy Now, brilliant. Could have done with a better guitar solo, but I think it's a brilliant song, and I think it was brilliant live. The Sydney performance, the Dublin performance, I think they're absolutely brilliant versions of it, and I wish that was still in the mix. And Learn to Love, so I criticised Open All Night being an album closer because it was slow. I think Learn to Love is one of the best album closers the band have done. I'll never forget listening to the single, listening to the album for the first time. And as I said, it was one of them where when Learn to Love finished, I was like, wow. Like, not so much because of the song, but I think just the way it ended, like the piano at the end and stuff like that. I think it was just a really nice ending to, what for me was a really good album. As I said, it takes me back to it. I was just leaving school at the time. It was like, it came out in the November, so it reminds me of, like, I mean, the weather's awful now, but it reminds me of like bad weather, and listen to it. And it was when I was into like my gaming, so I'd play like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and listen to that album while I was playing, and it just does. That album, no matter what season I listen, it just always takes me back to a very good time in my life. I'm going to give that album I'm going to be honest. So I'll break it down again. The first 3 songs don't really do much for me. They're not horrific, but doesn't really do much for me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I'm going to say it. Maybe not so much Fast Cars. I do think it drops a little bit, especially after Love's the Only Rule. I think that's probably why it gets criticised so much. but I actually think I'm going to go with a 7.5, 8 for the Circle, which is the highest so far. Yeah, that's what I'm going to give it. I think I really think it's a solid album. I do. I think it's a very, very good album. Let's see. So the album that definitely lost a lot of people. Okay, what about now? And now the first ever album that I listened to, I was 20 at the time. I think that's when I was starting to get an understanding of production, lyrics, vocals, guitar solos, the whole shebang of what makes a good album. I think this is when I started getting it. So I was so excited for it. I really was. I think the band needed a longer break. We've all spoken about that after the 2000, well, when they finished in 2011. Richie brought a solo album out. John started doing a couple of solo songs with Old Habits Die Hard, not running anymore. And I just think this album came too soon. And we all know why, with John wanting a football team, John wanting more money, John wanting this, John wanting that. Because we can. Awful. Awful. Never liked it. The first time I ever heard it, I thought it was a One Direction song. It was that type of song at the time. It was so poppy. I say I've never liked it. That's probably wrong. I'm probably lying. I don't. No, I do dislike it. I just think it's just so poppy for a band who were in their 50s at this point. It's just not. I think it was just his way of trying to stay relevant again, and that's where I think that was the last song they had in the top 40 in the UK. And I don't know how that made it, to be honest. I'm With You could have been a fantastic song. I really like it, by the way, but it could have been fantastic when you listen to the BBC Radio 2 performances and like Stuttgart and stuff like that. I'm With You live, so much better raw than it is in the studio. It sounds like a robot singing it. It's so overproduced. It could have been fantastic. It really could have. What about now? Again, it always takes me back. What about now? Because I was on my course when it was trained to be a personal trainer, and we used to get a minibus, and I can't remember the radio station. They used to have a radio station on, and What About Now used to come on every so often. And do you know what? It takes me back to that, but again, it's not a good song. Pictures of You. I think John sounds brilliant towards the end. Weird how it starts, just kicks in, a little bit strange. I think it's a good song. It's a song that I probably do go back to, but it's nothing spectacular. But I think the end, the last 30 seconds or so, and I've always said this. It's weird, bit morbid. I've always said I'd feel quite sad listening to the end of Pictures of You when, you know, God forbid something happens to John Bon Jovi, because I actually think his vocals are quite sad towards the end. I don't know why, but I've always just thought that's my interpretation of that song. I've always thought that. Amen. It does nothing for me. I've heard it live a couple of times and I was around. Does nothing for me. I don't really care for the notes. I don't actually think they're that good. And yeah, does nothing for me. John's version of Hallelujah, which is levels away from that. That's What the Water Made Me. By far, a million miles the best song on the album. Loved it live. Loved the outro, extended outro live. I don't know whether it's in my top 20 Bon Jovi songs, like Love's the Only Rule is. At one point it was my most played song on iTunes or whatever I used to listen to when this album came out. It was my most played song by a mile. I absolutely love That's What the Water Made Me. Still do. Still love it live as well when I go and listen to it on YouTube. And I'd welcome it back in the set list, really would. What's Left of Me? A lot of people love this and think it's like Someday I'll Be Saturday Night Part 2. It's never done nothing for me. I don't know if it's because I was done with the country stuff, and that's kind of what that was. It would have been perfect on Lost Highway, in my opinion. I'm going to go back, actually, sorry. Lost Highway, the bonus tracks, Lonely and Walk Like a Man, should have been on the album. Get rid of some of probably most of it, and put them two in, and that album goes way up. Even put The Boy Back in Cowboy. I know it's a rip-off of Queen, but I think, yeah, them three songs could have made that album 10 times better. Sorry to go back, it was just, it popped into my head. Army of One. I actually like it. I get people don't like the lyrics. Lyrics are poor. You know, it's never give up, never give up, never give up for God knows how many times. But there's just something about it. I love the vibes. I like the outro. I like it. It's nothing spectacular, but I've always liked it, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Thick as Thieves, one of them that's probably grew on me as time's gone on. It got criticised a lot back in the day. I remember it got criticised a lot back in the day um, when it first come out, but I actually quite like it. Beautiful World, again, probably another one that's grew on me as time's gone on, but it's nothing that I'd show anyone or anything like that. It doesn't really do anything for me. Um, but I remember when I first heard it, it didn't do much, and I think as time's gone on, I appreciate it a little bit more. Room at the End of the World. Oh, my voice broke down. Room at the End of the World. Could have been another brilliant song, I think. Really could have. The Fighter does nothing for me with these two hands. I think these are extras. So some countries got this. With these two hands, no. Again, doesn't really do much for me. Reminds me of, again, certain time in my life, that song, to be fair, and one that I'll always, like, if I listen to that song, I always think back. Yeah, but the album, because we got no, I'm with you, could have been fantastic. What about now? Pictures of You. I'm going to give it 4. Apart from That's What the Water Made Me, there's nothing that stands out. There's nothing that, don't get me wrong, as I said, I quite like Army of One. I quite like Pictures of You. But I think that's what the water made me. If you take that out of it, there's no, and I quite like I'm with you. I don't even know if I've just said that. Anyway, That's What the Water Made Me is the only real standout song. As I said, I'm with you is a bit robotic. I love it live. Army of One, I get why people don't like it. So for me, I really like it. But That's What the Water Made Me. Everyone seems to like. Brilliant live. Great opener, in my opinion. Yeah, a 4. I think that's fair. Right, I'm going to go with Burning Bridges. So, an album that none of us expected. One of my favourites up there with The Circle, so I'm going to break it down. I'm probably rambling on again. People have probably switched off, to be fair, but you know what? I said I'd do it, so I'm doing it. A Teardrop to the Sea, one of the best songs the band have produced in God knows how many years. When I first listened to this song, I was like, wow. As an album opener, I think it's brilliant. It's dead dark. It reminds me of like Destination Anywhere, just the vibe to it. Why it was on this album, which is classed as a throwaway album, John's words, with the paper bag album cover and stuff like that. It should have been on This House is Not for Sale or something like that. They should have left it for that. If they didn't want it on sitting, it's a brilliant, brilliant album. Brilliant song. Teardrop to the Sea, one of the best songs they've done in a long, long time. We Don't Run. Honestly, I wish if when they came out with What About Now and they brought up Because We Can, I wish it was We Don't Run, because that would have got them. That would have been a hit. I think We Don't Run is such a good song. Classic Jovi, the typical single. Brilliant live. I absolutely love it live. I really do. I think John loves it live as well. And I think the crowd do. Saturday Night Gave Me Sunday Morning. I've always had a soft spot for it. I think it's a really good song. I think it's a really nice song. It's a bit of a rip off of Nickelback. Gotta Be Someday. Gotta Be Somebody. Gotta Be Someday, I think it's called. I think it's a good song. We All Fall Down. It doesn't really do much for me. It's nice enough, but doesn't do love. Blind Love. I remember coming back. I had a hospital appointment and I came back. Blind Love and I'm Your Man were the 2 songs that kind of got uploaded onto something at the time. Maybe Spotify or something, I can't remember, or they just got leaked. Blind Love never done nothing for me, and I was so surprised by the how many people loved it. It just didn't really do anything for me. Now, Who Would You Die For? Potentially a top 10 song for me by the band. John's vocals are unbelievable. I'll never forget. My dad coming around, I think we were playing darts one night, and he was saying, like, I had this song on. I didn't tell him who it was just on like one of my playlists. And he's like, "This Bon Jovi?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, it sounds good, yeah." And I was like, "It's a recent song. Unbelievable song. It really is. Like, it's just so good. Unbelievable. It surprised me. And even now, Honestly, if I listen to that now, it'll blow me away. Unbelievable song, and I'm certain with the backstage Bon Jovi thing that got released the other week, they had paper notes, and I'm saying this should have been on This House Not For Sale. I'm sure that's what they had on it. Unbelievable song. Shame they'll probably never hear it live. But Fingerprints, I think, it's a really nice song. Underrated. I think it's a bit 50-50 for people. I think it's a really nice song. I like the guitar on it. I presume it's Shanks. I can't remember at the time, like thinking back, but I think it's Shanks. I think it's a really good solo. Life is Beautiful. I think it's a nice enough song again. I love how Bon Jovi albums take me back in certain songs. It takes me back to when I was working in a previous gym, and it was like summer there. It was lovely. Where like the area was really nice. It was like quite a wealthy area. People are probably going to laugh because I'm from Liverpool. We do have wealthy areas, but I just that song always takes me back to working there for some reason. I'm Your Man, I think, is a brilliant song. It's got like that rock and roll type of vibe. I remember listening, as I said, when Blind Love came out, and I loved it. And I still love it. It's a song that I think John sounds great on it as well. I think he's got a bit of rasp on him. Burning Bridges, take it up, take it for what it is. It's a fun song. It's a nice message to whoever it was about at the time. Honestly, I think Burning Bridges is. Oh, do you know what? A teardrop to the sea. We don't run. Saturday night game is Sunday morning. Who Would You Die For? I'm going to throw Fingerprints in there. I'm Your Man. That's 5 or 6 solid songs for me. And there's 1 or 2 that I'm probably missing out in terms of they're okay. There's not a song on there that I go, that's dreadful. There really isn't. I don't think Blind Love's dreadful. It just never really got me. I think We All Fall Down is nice. Yeah, honestly. I'm going to give it an 8 or an 8.5, you know. Yeah, 8.5. I think it's a very underrated album. I think it's a brilliant album. Very underrated. This House Not For Sale, an album I was really excited for because it was the first official album, let's say, since Richie. I really like This House Not For Sale, the song. I think the album was great, but I think the song, I really like the song and I like it live. I think it's a very good song. Living With The Ghost, absolutely brilliant song. Some of John's best writing. Knockout, rubbish. Labour of Love, brilliant ballad in my opinion. I think it's a very, very good, very, very good ballad. Born Again Tomorrow, if that was Bon Jovi with Avicii or Bon Jovi with David Guetta or something like that, that would have been a hit. My words, that would have been a hit. It's got that. I know around that time, I think they were meant to be doing or they'd done a song. I don't think they finished it. John definitely was doing a song with Avicii. I think it's a great song. Born Again Tomorrow, I've always liked it. Roller Coaster, I absolutely love, and it's one of my favourite songs live of the past few years. Gets the crowd going, gets the crowd jumping. Not many songs do that post 2000, really. I think it's a brilliant song. New Year's Day, I'm always 50-50 with it. I don't mind it. The Devil's in the Temple, fantastic song. Dark song. The riff's brilliant. John's vocals are brilliant. The end is fantastic. Scars on This Guitar, lovely ballad. I've always liked it. It got criticised. I know that's another 50-50 song. God Bless This Mess, people were saying on Jovi Talk. This is one of the best songs on the album. I think it's okay. I love the lyrics. I love the opening lyrics where, John saying his voice is short, his muscles are like he's going grey and so on and so forth. But apart from that, never really done much. It almost felt like it was trying to be This House Is Not For Sale, the song, and it never really, to me, This House Is Not For Sale, and God Bless This Mess. Reunion, nope, does nothing for me. Come on up to our house, nope, does nothing for me. Real Love, I prefer it to Blind Love, weirdly, but I think I prefer it because I heard it live at the Palladium before I heard the album. I think we heard, I think I went to Palladium before the album, and I liked it from that. Yeah, and again, it takes me back to a certain time and certain people. All Hail the King. I like the opening verse, but it goes nowhere for me. We Don't Run. I don't mind that. Like, I love that. I love the song anyway, and I don't mind whatever they done to it. They tweaked it a little bit. So thankfully they never ruined it. I Will Drive You Home, fantastic song in my opinion. I remember listening to it for the first time. Didn't really like the robots at the end, but I do. Good Night New York. It's one of them. I think it's crap, but when I listen to it, I sing along. So, but This House Not for Sale. Again, I think that's underrated. I think it's. I actually think it's some of John's best songwriting. I think Living with the Ghost is brilliant. In terms of songwriting, I think Scars on This Guitar is brilliant. And then you've got the likes of Labor of Love and This House Not for Sale, and I would give it and then sorry, When We Were Us and Wars kind of got added to it at a later point. Obviously, they weren't on the original album. They got the deluxe version. When We Were Us, I love. I always have. And I like Walls. It's very Imagine Dragons. 6.5, 7 for that album. I think it was a nice album. I think at the time maybe I overplayed it because it was nice to have some new Bon Jovi material, and at the time, I I think all of us didn't really know where the band were going. But yeah, 6.5, 6.5 is probably what I'd give it. I think it's got some really poor songs, but I think some of the standout songs really take it to another level. And then 2020, God. Limitless, what an absolute pile of crap. I absolutely hate that song. Always disliked it. Never done nothing for me. It could have been alright. But yeah, it's crap. Do what you can, can't stand it. And I couldn't stand it even more during COVID and stuff like that. American Reckoning, does nothing for me, but the harmonica, it was nice to have John do that again. Beautiful Drug, should have been a single, should have been the lead single. Sack Limitless off, should have opened the album as well. I actually really liked it live as well. Story of Love, done nothing for me. I really like the guitars at the end, but the song does nothing for me. I've always wondered, is it because I don't have kids and I don't, the meaning of it, but I get the meaning and I still think it's a pile of crap. Let It Rain, I think is brilliant. I absolutely loved it live as well, and that should stay when they come on tour again. Lower the Flag, I like the meaning of it. I like the meaning of it, but it's not fantastic. I think it's okay. Blood in the Water, probably the best song on there. In fact, it is the best song. Not probably. It is the best song on there. Yeah, you can tell it's trying to be Dry County. John said that himself. There's a song like Dry County on it. It needed the guitar solo. I think it would have took it from a 8 out of 10 song to a 9.5, 10. Brothers in Arms, almost going back to the classic Jovi, but I still think it's not quite there. But I do like it. Unbroken, no, does nothing for me either. 2020 is a pile of crap in my opinion. I remember listening to it for the first time and I didn't like it. I thought I don't really have albums that grow on me. Songs do, albums not so much. It kind of goes up and down. Songs that I loved when I listened to it, I kind of go off. Songs that didn't, as I probably said during this. Limitless, rubbish. Do What You Can, rubbish. American Reckoning, no. 1, 2, 3, 4 songs probably out of the 10 I really like. Blood in the Water, brilliant song. But the other 3 I really like, but they're not. Love's the Only Rule. They're not A Broken Promise Land. They're not A Happy Now. They're not A Superman Tonight. They're not. That's What the Water Made Me. I don't know if I said that. They're not that level of song for me. Blood in the Water is though. Do I like it more than What About Now? I actually don't know. I'll probably give it a 4 as well. I think What About Now could have been so much better, but it was rushed. In 2020, they had 4 years to do it. And I know COVID happened and so on. Love Can is one of the best songs they've done, by the way. Love Can should have been in the original. I know it was meant to be, and then it got ditched for American Reckoning and Do What You Can. I can't even remember. Love Can, that's a top tier song. John sounds brilliant on it as well. Shine, I prefer it to After Crap on that. Shine's an okay song, but Love Can is unbelievable. Never forget listening to it for the first time. Again, I'm going to say it again, which is why I think this next album is going to be quite hard for me to listen to because certain people aren't in my life anymore. and from 2013, so what about now? Burning Bridges, This House Not For Sale in 2020. I've always had somebody to kind of listen to the album with and speak about certain songs with. And as I said, when I'm listening to like certain songs or when I'm going through them, to be fair, there it actually takes me back to certain people and certain memories and stuff. And it's quite hard actually, but 2020 is one of them because obviously it was a hard time for everyone. It was a hard time for me. It was a hard time for people who were in my life at the time. Yeah, I don't know. I think for nostalgic reasons, that like I'll always listen to that and think of their memories. Um, and I think that's why the next album, even it to be fair, even with the stuff that's gone on now, the people who aren't in my life anymore, it would be nice to speak about them, because they genuinely enjoy Bon Jovi and stuff like that. And I think sometimes that's what you need. You need somebody to kind of bounce off, no pun intended. When you listen to stuff like that, because I can only speak on Twitter so much. I can only speak on WhatsApp so much. But when it comes to in person, that's why I like doing the podcast when it's kind of like face to face. It's different, and that's why I used to probably why I got more excited than anything for Bon Jovi stuff the last 10 years or so. Anyway, I'm going off on the standings here. Sorry. So anyway, the whole point of this video was have Bon Jovi been that bad as what people say over the last 20, 25 years? The answer is no. Don't get me wrong, there's a load of crap on there where the 80s and 90s probably didn't have that. There's bad songs, the songs that I dislike, but they weren't rubbish, they weren't overproduced, they weren't recycled songs and so on and so forth. But I still don't think Bon Jovi have been that bad. As I said, Love's the Only Rule, Broken Promised Land, Happy Now, Superman Tonight, Thorn in My Side. There's 5 off one album just off the top of my head. You got That's What the Water Made Me, Blood in the Water, Love Can, I Want to Be Loved, Mystery Train, Undivided, Hook Me Up, Bounce. Yeah, like there's probably 15 songs that I've just rattled off the top of my head. Obviously, the likes of It's My Life and Say This and So, which I do like. There's probably still 30 songs, let's say, out of what, 9 albums or so. Crush, Bounce, Have a Nice Day, Lost Highway, The Circle, What About Now, Burning Bridges, This House Not For Sale, in 2020. So 9 albums. Wow, that was good. There's probably about 30 songs which are either great, but go from very good to top tier. Your Love Can. I think Love Can's brilliant, but as I said, Blood in the Water. And then you've also got the songs that are still good. They probably aren't at that other level with your, let's say, Beautiful Drug. I really like Beautiful Drug. Don't forget, you got Who Would You Die For and A Teardrop to the Sea as them top tier songs as well. Maybe the songs like Fingerprints, which probably don't take it too very great or whatever. I don't think it's been that bad. I can see why people have gone off them. I really can. I think Shanks has been overused, but he's John's right hand man at the moment, which kills me to say, but he is. John trusts him. John knows he can work his voice in the studio. He probably trusts him to at the vocals he's got now. He's probably a little bit embarrassed probably to have somebody new come in and listen to him. Honestly, I don't think Bon Jovi have been that bad. I didn't think this video was going to take an hour. I probably rambled on far too much on the earlier albums, sorry. But I don't think it's been that bad. And I am excited for the next album. If there's if 2020, which I think is rubbish, can still have 2 or 3, well, certainly Blood in the Water and Love Can as top tier songs, there's no reason why I don't think this next album can still have 2 or 3 top tier songs, just like This House Not For Sale did with Devils in the Temple and stuff like that. So, Living with the Ghost. Honestly, I don't think it's been that bad. I'm intrigued to hear what people say. Hopefully a little breakdown of this has done, made people think. I do just think it's the production side, the rehash of lyrics, probably vocals, lack of guitars. They're where the albums are going wrong. But when they nail it, they actually do nail it, in my opinion. So yeah, it hasn't been that bad. I'm intrigued to see what the new album's like. This was quite fun to do, to be honest with you. I had a spare hour. I probably should have done a podcast with someone, but me and Jimmy were speaking about have a nice day, and I said I'll do this now. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'm intrigued to see what everyone else thinks, and hopefully you don't think it's been as bad. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, comments, etc., and share it. Thanks everyone for watching. Sorry if I've bored you.